Good evening and welcome to our first February regular meeting of 2024. We're glad to have you all here and those joining us online as well. We will start. We like to begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll ask Gary Harris if he'll come forward and lead us in the pledge.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. And at this time, if you'll take this next little moment of silence to prepare for the meeting, to reflect, or have silent prayer. Thank you all very much. Council members, you all have the minutes from January 29th, and that's just a brief minute identifying the meeting, but the minutes from December 11th, January 8th, and January 22nd are not ready at this time for our approval, so we would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from January 29th, 2024 as submitted.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we should have those other minutes probably at our next meeting, so we should be good to go on that. At this time, we'll open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. We'll ask that if you have something to state for council or for the community, come on down to the podium. Please be sure to use the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And we will open the floor.
I'm Janet Jones, the city treasurer. And trying to listen to the last couple of work sessions the best I could anyway. You all's audio was not great. I've picked up on a couple of you trying to lay the blame on the tax conversion being done on the Commissioner of Revenue and the treasurer. I'm here before you all tonight because I want to make it known and very clear to the citizens of this city that elected me as treasurer that I have in no way held up this conversion on this module. That being said, I also don't agree with the way it's being handled either. There have been many attempts to convert the taxes over to Munis software. Every time we run into issues that can't or haven't been resolved, or the switch to another project manager and we start over, or like the last time several people on the project left, we had to start over. As of today, I've had one call back in October that I was included with our IT staff in Munis. That's when our data was discussed. We just kind of looked at what was converted over. And there was a ton of issues that were found. And to my knowledge, none of those have been resolved. If they have, no one has talked to me about them at all. There have been multiple calls since then, but they always tell me they're still working on the commissioner's side and they don't need me yet. I was provided a schedule, which I have completely accommodated and scheduled everything in the office around. But every date that we've been given has either been canceled or changed to a future date. In order for my office to convert to this software, my office needs support. Support not only from council and management, but also IT staff. We've been experiencing a lot of sporadic issues in the municipal building, like the phones being down, internet down, Munis software down, the data online not matching what's on our software. These may not sound like huge issues to you all, but if you're standing there trying to take a payment from a customer and you can't take a credit or debit card, collect anything from them because you can't look it up on the software, those are big issues. We have upgrades that are done and we're never told they're going to do them till we come in the next day and something's not working or works completely different. There's no communication. Right now, the IT staff works 7 to 3:30, with them being allowed to work remotely in addition to that. So that means our offices pretty much are working more than 25% of the time with no staff on site. to help us when we do have issues. I have asked the IT supervisor if that could be rearranged to make sure the IT staff is here. Maybe they could actually split up. Some of them work 7 to 3:30, some maybe work 8:30 to 5, like the offices do, so that we could be better covered for those things. I've also asked for additional training for the financial software because I've been waiting on that for a couple of years. That has not been set up. Right now, which they're talking about a March date, so obviously, if we try to switch in March, it's going to be a mess. If we convert, we still have to have the 400 in order to reconcile the bank statements. There are other localities that have made this transition and are still experiencing issues with reconciliation and being able to get the tax tickets out timely. Financially, we can't take a chance on not being able to get our tax tickets out timely. I'm not against the conversion if it's done right and responsibly. I think some people just want to be able to come and tell you all that it's done. Yeah, but I don't feel that's the way the taxpayers want our city tax dollars to be wasted either. We need to do this right, and everyone needs to work together. The other concern I have is the mayor wanted to point out in the last work session that the collection rate on personal property dropped 2%. I really don't know what you expect with the economy the way it is. And also, workload measures show that the office is understaffed, and it has been now for a few years. I've requested another position for the past 2 budget cycles. I've had lots of conversations with the city manager about this need and the finance director. The state has budgeted to fund 50% of one of those positions for the last 2 budget years. Now, in this year's budget, they also are funding again one of our unfunded positions by 50%. So basically, that's 1 position back that we have in revenue. So basically, that position would be very minimal for the city to get another position in there to help with collections. The collections clerk has to back up everybody on the counter. That's the person who has to go up to the counter when someone else is off or anything that comes up on the busier days, the due dates. Actually, I believe this minimal amount that I'm asking for would be much less than what was spent on planting trees on private property this past year. And we could have revenue generated by having another person in there to help so that we could do more on collections. But even with that said, my collection rates are very impressive against any other locality in the state you want to put it against. And my staff works very hard and efficiently, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. I hope this is received the way it's intended, and you all take an interest in making sure that the operations become more efficient and my office receives the support that it needs, so this tax module can be a success instead of a demise to the city. And as always, my door is open, and you're welcome to discuss these issues, and I hope you all take me up on that offer and visit so that you can actually have facts before coming out in public and speaking.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other citizen comments for the public record tonight? Seeing none, we will close that portion of the meeting, and we will take a moment if council members have any response, and I will start. Janet, if you wouldn't mind submitting some of those things that you brought up as concerns to all of us in an email, I think that would be really helpful, so that if there are specific things related to the conversion to Munis, we can begin to address those things as a council and work with city manager's office on that. And any of your IT concerns, if there are specific issues related to that, if you can also include those in an email to us so that we can have that as something we're working on as well. And we appreciate you coming forward with that. Council members, are there any other comments?
Well, I'm just going to say that I think that probably, this is probably more of a work session. I think we need to drill down deeper as a team other than, just this interaction, because I think I love the fact it seems like it's a priority to everyone. And so we just have to figure out how to work those details out together. So I would suggest maybe we do more of a work session together to actually identify those issues that you're having and rectify this.
Just a question, how many, and I know the training schedule's been all over the place, it's been hard for your office to coordinate that. Ideally, how many training sessions do you think it would take to train you guys? Because I know it's probably pretty extensive.
Right now, in the schedule, there are only 2 training days that are scheduled. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person that nobody can hear. There's only 2 more days scheduled in the schedule that we have, which there's no way that that can be met efficiently. But you also have 2 offices that are affected. So obviously, that means 1 day per office. I don't want to close my office to the public for anything. So we definitely need more than 1 day so we can split the staff in half and still serve our citizens at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that makes sense too, especially to be able to keep that office open. I think that's a good suggestion by Jesse as well, to have a work group so that we can make sure that you're getting the resources that you guys need and to get that converted. So I think that's a good idea. So thank you for bringing that up to us.
Thank you all.
Yes, Janet, appreciate you coming forward, and I think appreciate you bringing everything to our attention, and I'm in agreement that I think we need everybody needs to communicate much better, timely communication. That would benefit everybody here, and I think we all need to follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on, and this is Black History Month. February is that moment where we recognize the achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development here in Radford, the New River Valley, the Commonwealth, and the nation. And Ms. Foster has a proclamation for us.
Black History Month 2024, African Americans and the Arts. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. And whereas the 2024 theme is African Americans and the Arts, celebrating the impacts of Black Americans have had on visual arts, music, cultural movements, and more. Whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideas. And whereas the City of Radford continues to work toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. And whereas the City of Radford is proud to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our community throughout our state and nation, now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Radford City Council that February 2024 be known as Black History Month and celebrate, and all our citizens are encouraged to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. Mayor Horton and Council, I make a motion that we accept this this proclamation for the African Americans and the Arts Black History Month 2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. And this is a wonderful opportunity. Obviously, we should stress our African American history in our region every month. I mentioned a little earlier today on social media, I shared the expanded hours of Christiansburg Institute. That was the location of many of our African American families' high school experience for decades until integration took place here in Southwest Virginia and Radford. I encourage folks to explore that because Christiansburg Institute was an important part of our community's history as well, so be sure to check that out. Right now, we have a really cool program we want to talk about. Our library is always doing something amazing and working with our community. And I have to brag a little bit that we have a particularly wonderful newish program with the Kid Librarian Program that has been recognized by the American Library Association. So I'm going to ask Elizabeth Sensabaugh and her staff to come on down and tell us more about it and to showcase a little bit about this amazing Kid Librarian program.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sensabaugh. I'm the Public Library Director at Radford, and I want to introduce to you Morgan Esterhazen, who's our youth librarian, and we have Scott Gardner from Glencoe. Tonight, I wanted to, by your invitation, and thank you so much, brag a little bit about Morgan in particular. We hired Morgan in the Youth Services Librarian position in 2020, and since then, she's done all these amazing programs. She has started a writing club for the kids. She has a mother-daughter book club. She started a wonderful literacy program called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. She got an award, an outstanding program award from the Virginia Public Library Directors Association for her homeschool speaker series. So I could go on and on and on. But I will turn it over shortly to Morgan about this American Library Association nod. I just want to say in context, the American Library Association is the biggest and the oldest organization that promotes libraries and library education. So it's really exciting to get a nod from ALA in particular. And so thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you for the acknowledgement, and thank you, Elizabeth, for being so kind. The Kid Librarian program was born because I wanted kids to have an ownership in their library and feel like they were a part of it. And I thought, you know what, this is an easy way to do that. So the Kid Librarian, they have a whole shelf, like a whole bookshelf in the children's section that when they are chosen, they are in charge of curating a book display. And they are totally free to come up with whatever theme they want to come up with. I've loved seeing the different themes that kids come up with. A lot of them recently have just been sharing their favorite books that they want everyone else to read, but sometimes they get really into it. They'll do like the entire Magic Treehouse series. One kid did the history of the world, and each shelf was like a different time period. They get really into it. It's so cool. And part of the thing that I love about it is that other kids and parents will see the display in the children's section, and they'll be like, what is that? Kid librarian, I want to be that. And I have this ballot box they have to submit a job application for, and it's a whole thing. And then they get really sad when they see how many names are in the ballot box because it's going to take a while for me to get to their name. But I always tell them, you will get picked. It just might not be next week, but it'll happen. So it's been wonderful, and I was really honored when the ALA reached out to me. So what was cool about that is usually for this website, the programming librarian that they run, is that you have to submit it, and then maybe it will get picked, maybe it won't. But they reached out to me. A couple of our posts on Facebook, because I always take a picture of the kids with their display, have been shared rather widely, and I think they picked up on one and found me and reached out, and it was really wonderful. What's also been really cool to see since this went live and before, just with those posts being shared, is that libraries all over the country are doing this. It's so easy, it's basically free, and it's just been wonderful to see, and it's lovely, and the kids love it, and they feel so honored to be in charge of this bookshelf at the library, and it just makes me happy. So there are, on this website, if you want to read all about the Kid Librarian program, the programming librarian has it up, and it's basically a how-to of if you wanted to run this yourself in your library. There's even photos of some of the kids on that photo slideshow of them with their displays and our little job application right there. So they were really thorough, and it was quite a quick turnaround from when they reached out to me that this was published. So it does make me very happy, and it's been wonderful support from everyone at the library to make this go well. It's basically a free program except for the one piece of paper that I print to go with their display that I say, like, this is my display. So each kid gets a little like flyer that has their name on it and whatever their theme is. That girl made a whole sign to go with her display, which I thought was true dedication. But thank you so much for the acknowledgement. That's just a little bit about the Kid Librarian program. It's been wonderful. It's one of my favorite things to when they come in to set up their display. So thank you.
Well, and Morgan, you deserve a round of applause. We want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things I've really loved about it when you've shared it over social media, but also the physical location in the library, is the diversity in the books the kids bring forward and the creativity they express with this. Can you talk a little bit more about how this has excited other kids to explore different kinds of books as opposed to what they might be most comfortable with?
Yeah, so in terms of just kids walking by and seeing the display, and then they're like, wait, kid librarian, like, I want to know how to do that. I also love when they will see this display of, someone else's favorite books, and they're like, oh, someone else loves that book, so I'm going to take that. Or a kid who's put an entire series of books on the shelf, they're like, wow, look at that. I love that Warrior Cat series, and look, all 25 of them are on this shelf. I'm going to get started. So it's fun in that regards, just on the kids who are coming through the library and picking up whatever is on the shelf for them to see. The kids, on the other hand, I am always surprised and get a little giggle out of whatever theme they come up with. I tell them the sky's the limit. As long as it's a chapter book, you can pretty much do whatever you want here. I'm trying to think of what some of our themes have been. We had dinosaurs, we had rocks and minerals, we had food allergies was a unique one, which I did like seeing all the kids walk by that, because there's just a whole bunch of books, and she found a ton of books on food allergies in the kids section, and she had them all up there. So it was fun for other kids to walk by and see, like, oh, food allergies, I didn't think about that one, and it's just been wonderful. There's no rhyme or reason to whatever theme that they choose to do, and that's my favorite part. Sometimes they walk in confidently like, I want to do one on sharks, but I have no idea where the shark books are. Please help me. And happy to do that. And sometimes they walk in and they're like, I don't even need to talk to you, Miss Morgan. I just know where I'm going, and I'm going to go put these books up, and that's it. So it's just been fun seeing all the different themes that these kids come up with. They always just make me happy. Yeah.
Well, and thank you, and to Morgan and Scott and Elizabeth, thank you all for helping to cultivate this type of activity and making our library that real community center where people want to come and explore and grow and everything along that line. Council members, any other thoughts?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Program.
Thank you so
Exciting.
much.
Thank you.
And I will just say, we get so much value out of the public library. Like I said, it becomes very much like a community center in many ways with the activities. I know they just had a special stuffy sleepover, which was another creative program, and just a lot of fun that keeps it in people's minds, which is wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Moving on, we do have a joint public hearing scheduled with the Planning Commission, so I'm going to ask the Planning Commission if they will call their meeting to order and see if you have a quorum this evening. Thank you very much. So the purpose of this joint public meeting is for us to talk about nonconforming signs within the zoning ordinance and for us to be able to address some pieces with that. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add to that? Because I know this is something Planning Commission has been looking at and something that we wanted to take a look at to be able to move forward with some things.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As you share, this proposed amendment will allow for the consolidation, reconstruction of existing non-conforming billboard signs. As of now, no new billboards are allowed within the city. So this will give an opportunity for them to consolidate and take ones down that no longer are in a position that it can be read or whatever, but they can consolidate. If you see traditionally, some of the areas are going more electronic, so this will help consolidate because they can use less surface area and allow for more signage. So it really is just bringing us up to compliance to be able to allow this type of use.
Thank you very much. Council members, do you all have any questions? Planning Commission members, any questions or comments? Okay, well, the floor is open for the public. If you all have any questions, comments, or concerns, please come down to the microphone and state your name and ask your question or raise your concern. Hearing none, we will close this joint public meeting. Now, you all need to adjourn your Planning Commission meeting, I believe. Okay. Okay. So do you have a recommendation to make for us then? I thought that was going to come up when we got to new business, so I guess you need to leave your meeting open, but we can just move straight into the new business. The joint public meeting is closed, so if you'll make your recommendation. Okay, so we have a motion to receive the Planning Commission recommendation. Council members, do you all have any questions or comments? So do we have a motion to, first, we have to receive the recommendation and then we need to approve the ordinance. So do we have a motion to receive the recommendation?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now do we have a motion to approve ordinance 1797?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so? So moved. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to other new business. We are looking to take a look at Radford Transit surplus property. We replaced 5 of its buses in fiscal year 22-23, as well as the fare boxes. And so bus 314 and 316 are no longer needed and can be declared surplus. We've used them pretty significantly, and each of those buses have significant mileage on them. In fact, one of them has 137,566 miles, and the other has 113,043 miles on them, and they are both 7 and 8 years old, so we've gotten our money's worth for sure. So we'll be looking to potentially auction those, make those available at publicsurplus.com to auction the buses, and also 16 fare boxes, which have no further public use. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, no, actually, I will. Just so you know the process, what we will do once you give authorization of surplus, we will contact all city departments, including Radford University, to see if any of them have a use for it before we put it out for public surplus, for the public to be able to it's not betting, we're not betting on buses. We are putting an offer in, a bid on buses. So we'll just see, make sure that there's no use for those otherwise. And Mayor, yes, these buses here are 4-year, 100,000-mile buses, so we certainly have extended the useful life of these buses as much as possible. So appreciate you moving forward with this, and we can get rid of excess property.
Thank you very much. And before the meeting, I had asked Melissa a little bit, what would we do with the revenue? A portion of it does have to go back to our grant funder who helped us get the buses, but then some of the revenue will go back in the general fund. And
That's
it
if
can just
it's over
vary.
$5,000. So anything
Right.
up to $5,000 we can keep. Anything over, they've got a really nice formula that we use to determine how much goes back to them, them being FTA, and the rest can remain with the city of Radford, and we just go into the general fund.
Okay.
I do have one quick question. For the remaining 16 fare boxes, so that we no longer have fees, are we not planning to phase that back in?
Not at any time. On all the new buses that we purchased, and that was something that we'd discussed, at the most, at the height of our transit ridership and our population, we had more people riding the system in the university. It was, the most we came in is maybe 26,000, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. When you look at the cost of a fare box, which is about $9,000, and then the time spent to be able to take the money every day to the treasurer, and the time that we really saw that it wasn't significant that we were making. So to be able to continue to offer the fare free for our community is really what we've decided to do moving forward. Certainly, if that changes, we can start getting our new buses and start ordering those. But the buses that we just did replace this fiscal year, we did not include any new fare boxes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
I was just going to say to the council members, if you haven't had the opportunity, hop on a bus with Melissa and do a couple of the routes with them. It really is enlightening to see how many people actually are utilizing and depending upon it to get to their shopping. So if you have
Well-
time, hop on the bus.
I think shopping, but also I know a lot of people use it to get to and from work, which is really crucial. And one of the
Doctor's
pieces we looked
appointments.
at, you know, as a service, you know, looking at the revenue balance versus the service that's provided in the community. Okay, any other comment? Council, do we have a motion to approve the surplus property for Radford Transit?
So moved?
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, appropriation ordinance 1784.24. Radford City's Police Department has received a grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services under the Local Law Enforcement Program. It's $4,258 to use to support efforts to reduce crime and improve public safety. They're going to purchase 35 holsters as well as a digital camera. The cost is actually a little bit more at $4,267, and the difference is going to come from the police department budget. And I'm always impressed, Chief, thank you so much, when you're able to go out and get a grant to help us fund these things, even if it's just a couple $1,000s. It makes a big difference. Council members, do you all have any questions? Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 1787.24 in the amount of $4,258? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, Mr. Ridpath is not able to be with us this evening, and we are thinking about him a little bit this evening. Hopefully, he is feeling better pretty soon. We do have a few comments from the city manager that I'm going to share with you. One of the big things that we've been working on the last several years is the West Radford Commerce Park that used to be a Foundry site here in the city of Radford. Several grants are in process for helping address environmental protection expectations, site planning, and development, and I know we're all really excited to move that property forward. Over the next month or so, we're going to be looking at doing some additional things to continue to move the property forward, working with our EDA and getting things moving on that, so that's really exciting. You may have noticed a new feature in downtown Radford that's part of the East Main Street improvement process funded by the Virginia Tourism Corporation. We have a new mural that is in process. It's not quite done yet, but it is nearing completion, and so that's going to showcase the rail, the river, the trails, and some of our natural beauty, and hopefully be a spot of attention. And thank you to the Virginia Tourism Corporation for the grant to make that happen. Rec Department had another basketball tournament. Our good friend Keith Crowder, who passed away a few years back, a way to remember him with a wonderful tournament. 44 teams participated, and we were really excited to see all of those folks at the Rec Center and here in the city of Radford. I will, just as an aside, say we have 4 right now. We have 4 advertisers who are on the ring at the Rec Center. We have room for more. So those businesses that are out there that would like to showcase their restaurant or their shop or a service that they provide that would especially benefit some of these folks coming in for tournaments and other events, please come in and talk to us. You can reach out to any of us, reach out to Kim Repass, reach out to Dan
Chamber.
McKinney with the Chamber of Commerce. Our goal is to make this a service. While we do receive revenue for it and every dollar we can bring in counts, helping get that message out there is so important, and so we are so appreciative if people want to participate with that. And then one last manager's comment. President's Day is on Monday, so sanitation will move. If your normal pickup day is Monday, that'll move to Tuesday and be taken care of. And that's all that David had for us this evening. Seth, what do you have for us this evening?
Sure. I'll follow up with the Keith Crowder tournament. It was great to see 44 teams there, and I've always been a huge advocate of sports tourism, and it just brings people into the city, hopefully spending money, having a good time. Really appreciate the Rec Hall staff. I know that throwing a 44-man tournament takes work, and so I appreciate all the hard work they do. I also wanted to add, school board member and actually NRV community, or New River Community College rep, Chris Calfee has asked that he be added to an agenda either next meeting or the following, just to kind of give an update about some of the things that he's going on, that they have going on there, kind of update us with that. So like to hear from Chris and see what he has to say.
So for New River, that's what he
Yeah.
wants to report on?
Wanted to say thank you to the library staff. I mean, your enthusiasm is palpable, and what an asset to the kids and the community. So I wanted to thank you for all you do. Thought that was huge. And also wanted to, I've had several people reach out to me over the last budget and ask where we are and where we need to be. And it's something that, you know that we all take very seriously. And we need to be open and transparent through the whole process. Some of the things that I know that if you watch that session, if you haven't, I encourage you to do. Right now, non-essential hiring freeze. I'm hoping, and we've talked about it, getting a schedule to meet with department heads, kind of look at their budgets and cut what we can. We're going to have those hard conversations, those hard talks, and be honest with our staff. And so look forward to getting those booked. Appreciate everything David Ripath and staff does. I know they're working really hard on this and have been, so I appreciate all they do, and I send my well wishes to him that he gets to feeling better. And then kind of to follow up on the West Commerce Park, I want to tell you guys, on Friday, I called and had a conversation with Delegate Jason Ballard. And he seemed extremely excited about this prospect and asked that I gather all the information of the steps we've taken, the steps we need to take, where we're at, some ideas of what we'd like to see happen, and send it to him. So actually, Kim and David were, this weekend, while he was laid up, he was working and got all the information together and has given it to him, and he has said that he'd like to take it to the governor. So, I think get the word out there and know that Radford's open for business. We have a great new asset that we're looking to explore. So really counting on our state delegates to, hopefully bring something back here for our city. And it wouldn't just be for this city, it would be for the region. So I appreciate him taking the time to talk to me. And I think that's all I have.
Thanks,
So,
Seth.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Bobby, what do you have?
Just want to thank Morgan, Scott, and Elizabeth. Did I get the names right? Thank goodness. Okay. I can tell that you have a genuine love for the kids, and we appreciate that. I've got 2 grandsons, so, I was all ears and smiling too. We've been down there many a time. Thank you for all you do. And I'm sure you've got a lot of, you probably are the cheerleaders down there for those kids. But thank you so much for that. Janet, thank you for coming in and talking to us. And anybody comes in here, we all take it seriously, but hey, one big community, one big family. So thank you for coming in, and we'll be striving to get together and communicate and make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's. How about that? And let's see what else. The couple of things I've had on my mind, especially the elderly people in our community. I think we need to pray for them, especially at the times we live. I know it's tough, so look out for them. If you got any grandparents, whatever out there, just be sure and check in on them. And other than that, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Kelly, what do you have?
Echoing a lot of things that you guys have said, the library program sounds amazing. One of the things on my 2024 list is to be able to make sure I take the kids down to the library more often on weekends and over the summer. I know you guys have some great programs, and I know my 9-year-old would love to be a kid librarian for the day and curate some Harry Potter things there, so she would be all about that. I'd like to extend good luck and congratulations to our DWDC Dance Center. They're downtown. They're starting up their competition season. They've had a couple so far. They're doing really well. So congratulations and keep up the good work to them. Janet, thank you very much for coming today. I've met with you already. I planned on meeting with you again at the end of February. We don't know these things unless people come and tell us. So we need to have transparency through all departments so we can know exactly what's going on and get our information from everyone, not just a few people. I've had other department heads reach out to me this week with some things that I was not aware of, that I was discussing with the city manager, that should not be going on, issues that we need to address. So thank you very much. And I have way more questions than we have time for, so I will follow up with all the things I need to, and hopefully we can definitely meet with you again and figure out how we can get you some more support, training, and all the things that you need. But thank you very much. And that goes for any other department head. If you guys have issues, or you have something that's making your job difficult, or you need training or support, please reach out to us. We don't know unless you let us know, and we're more than happy to work with you and try to figure out what's going on. We are working very hard on the budget. We email back and forth with ideas, and I know a lot of people don't see that, but we are all turning over every rock and putting all of our heads together to try to figure out how we can get the city back on track. So please don't think that we're not trying to do that. I've had some busy changing things at work, so I've had to push back a lot of my joint commission and meetings with RU and my tour with the industries here in Radford. So those are all in the next couple of weeks, so I'll have a better update of everything that's going on next meeting. And I just want to make sure, wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And I think that's about it.
Thank you. Jesse, what do you have for us?
It's been actually a rather quiet 2 weeks. So just a quick recap. Before this meeting, I had a chamber board planning session. And at our little retreat, what we wanted to do was evaluate our mission statement and also evaluate the services that we're providing. So our businesses should look to see a survey coming out, and I know we all love those. But this one's really important, and if you don't answer it the first time, then I'm probably going to come out and ask you some questions personally, because we really want to drill down and see how we can be the best partners that we can. A couple of things that I brought up that we've talked about on council is how to bring more of the participants to the events at the rec center. How do we pull them back to our businesses? And so Chamber is taking a look at that and seeing if there's some measures that we can take to better enhance that opportunity. And the other thing that we were talking about, and we're going to be throwing out to the businesses, is out of the meetings with RU, they are looking at trying to create a workforce with work experience before they graduate. So they're going to see if they could provide opportunity to their students here in our community for internships. So be evaluating. Just know that those questions will be coming forth too, how those students at RU, they're a captive audience and they do want to graduate with some work experience to put them ahead of the game, so you'll be hearing about that in the future too. Tomorrow I have my Community Justice Board meeting, and it'll be my first, and so I'm anxious to see what that's all about, and I'll come back and let you all know. Seth and I did meet with the RU president and members of their leadership team about our continued efforts to collaborate better across the board. We have some really exciting things I think that we have in the future that we're planning on doing, so more details to follow on that too. I had the CPMT meeting, and that was a pretty quiet 2 weeks for me. I also wanted to say to Janet, I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention. And again, it is an open door. Anytime if you feel like, you know, there's a better way to do things or better resources that we need to provide, we certainly want to do it, because we are a team. And the more efficient and effective you are, the more efficient and effective we are. So I'm actually looking at this as a really good turning point to get this done and get it done with better communication so everyone feels better prepared for it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention today. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. We do have a whole lot going on, and appreciate your efforts reaching out to Jason Ballard with the West Radford Commerce Park. I know Kim and her team have been working with the Virginia Department of Economic Development. So everybody we can get on board, the better off we are. That's a positive for moving this forward. We've also been working with Onward NRV and some of our other groups to try to help move us forward on that. So I think all of it is part of the plan as we continue to really help reinvent a lot of West Radford, which is a good thing that's been going on for several years, and this is another step forward. Janet, thank you for coming this evening. As I said, if you would help us with some of the things that you mentioned, if there's specifics, I don't want to forget anything. So send to all of us, if you would, any issues that you have regarding IT support or regarding your training days, any other concerns that you might have regarding the conversion, because that is something that's been on our list for years that we want to try to get figured out, and whatever needs to happen to be able to make that happen, obviously, not only for your office, but for the citizens and for the good operation of the city. So we do appreciate that, and we will work on all of that together. We are looking at everything. You know, Janet mentioned I had a question about how come our collections dropped. Well, I'm going to ask questions about just about everything, because when we got our audit report, we're trying to figure out, okay, where's every dollar in Radford? Where's every opportunity? Where's everything we have to take a look at? And just making sure that we're leaving no stone unturned as we move through the city's finances, what money can come in, where we can find savings, but also continue to invest. You know, one of the challenges several years ago we were running into is if you cut and don't invest, you really struggle to grow. And we've been really working. The West Radford Commerce Park's a perfect example. Having that piece of property gives us a future and gives us an opportunity. So finding ways to work on the budget. You will see some additional work sessions this year during the budget. Most likely early to mid-March into the beginning of April. We have to get all this done in a fairly timely manner, and the city manager has to get us a budget by April 1st. So a lot of these work sessions will be compressed into 2 or 3 weeks there in March. Thank you in advance to all of our department heads and to every employee and member of the city staff for all the work they're doing to help us identify where we could better be investing the resources we have, how we could move things around, how we could cut some things out of the budget, and how we can improve things for the citizens. We've always asked that, but I think it's even more so now, and we'll open this up to the community. If there are ideas out there that you think we haven't considered, excuse me, trying to do a cough drop and talk at the same time is pretty tough. If there are ideas we haven't considered, please bring them forward. This is an open, transparent time for us to have discussions, for us to think about things, and for us to look at possibilities for the city to continue our forward progress and our upward trajectory, and for us to be able to work together. A couple of quick notes. There is still time if you all want to sign up and join me on Saturday for the Polar Plunge. We will be down at Dudley's Landing. The program goes on all morning. I believe we'll be plunging around the 12 or 1 o'clock hour. This raises money for the Special Olympics. The goal is $88,000. We're a little more than halfway there. Hopefully we'll be bringing in a lot more money over the next week or so. But Dudley's Landing, Saturday morning, the Polar Plunge for Southwest Virginia. So people from north of Roanoke all the way down to the Wytheville area will be coming to Radford for this event. We have hundreds and hundreds of families that join us, and it is wonderful for the athletes here in the New River Valley and in Southwest Virginia for the Polar Plunge. I also wanted to mention I'm wearing a little Chinese coin with a dragon. Lunar New Year was Saturday, and we had several wonderful celebrations around the city. We have a number of folks who recognize the Lunar New Year here in Radford. And so on campus, they had a program, and you may remember Simon Kwong, who is a wonderful member of this community, used to own the Canton restaurant here in Radford, and he and his family ran the Canton. He is also a martial arts master, and he put on some demonstrations. But there were so many members of the community, so many friends of his, so many people who gathered together. It just made me reflect on how much what an interesting group of people we have in this community, and how much diversity we really have here that we don't automatically think of in Radford and Southwest Virginia. So happy Lunar New Year. It is the year of the dragon, specifically the wood dragon, and that brings prosperity. And so that's what we hope to have for our city and continue to move forward with and grow from there. And with that, we will adjourn with a motion. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say good night. Good night. Yeah, every day. What we have.